Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Max. Let's talk. All right, I want to talk about something that is not addressed much. I haven't heard many topics spoken on this, and from some of the experiences that I've had, I've connected some dots, man. And I just wanted to run this by you because it's something that we really should pay more attention to and look into. And I'm talking about a militarized police force in our communities. This is something that the Constitution speaks against. There's definitely wording in there that is meant to safeguard us from these types of events taking place. And even still, we have a group called the ACU, the American Civil Liberties Union, who champions these fights against militarizing the police. And what militarizing the police means is giving them gear and weapons that are far beyond what they need to police our communities in our neighborhoods. Police do not need uh, mind resistant armored vehicle. Who in the United States is using mines? Who in the United States is using IEDs or EFPs? These are different explosive devices that are used in war. And this is what these vehicles were created to resist. And last time I checked, there's nobody here, especially none of these gang members in these communities who are blowing up things using IEDs. So why do you need these military vehicles, these huge military vehicles to govern communities, to govern the people in the United States? Why do they need all of our military gear? Because whenever we update stuff and get new stuff in the military, all of our old gear is passed down to the police force SWAT teams and eventually to the regular officers. And so in that way, we're starting to see the militarization of the police force. But I want to talk about the training that they receive to militarize them, because a lot of people say, well, they don't train the police officers to be soldiers. Well, that's not true, because you have the National Guard and you have the Army Reserve, in which citizen soldiers have every right to join military forces such as the reserves and the National Guard, and they are sent through the same basic training, the same advanced individual training for your occupation, and they also deploy to war as well. And so you have a lot of police officers who are in the National Guard and in the Army Reserves that have been overseas and have fought in Iraq and Afghanistan as well. And then when they finish their service, they come back and they go right back to the police force with all of that training, all of this military knowledge. And you think they just sit there and hold it to themselves and don't utilize any of the tactics that they've learned in their military training on the police force? This may be speculation, and this is my own personal opinion, and I feel very strongly about this opinion based on my experiences with officers that was in the military through reserves and National Guard. I've experienced a lot of police officers going down range. Whenever I went down range, one of my lieutenant colonels that was over me was a beat cop from Dallas. And so there's a lot of police officers who come and get all of this military training, and then they go back to their units as a police officer, or their police departments and precincts, and they implement that training into the police training regimen. And so there's how they're getting the military training to go along with the military weaponry that they're receiving. And so our police forces are being militarized right before our very eyes, and we're not even paying attention because there's so many other things that's going on in the world that we really don't have time to look at that. But I think we need to make time. Because if we don't make time in the long run, there's going to be a reckoning. There's absolutely going to be a reckoning, and this is why those safe places was put in place through the Constitution, which is being violated on the regular. I'll say that again. The Constitution is being violated on the regular. The Constitution is not respected at all, especially by the lawmakers we have in Washington. So yeah, this is something that we have to get behind the ACLU on. We have to make sure that we are bringing up this topic and it's something that becomes a common conversation so that we can let them know that we see what's going on and we are going to work against that, because the Constitution that they so strongly claim that they uphold is the same exact Constitution that they're breaking. They're violating all the time. And as we go into this new age, I've said time and time again that the Constitution needs to be destroyed and reformed. Definitely needs to be reformation of the Constitution, because there's so many things that have changed. There's so many things in our age that the Constitution just does not properly cover. And amendments is not helping anything, because amendments can always be argued against. So I think we need a whole entirely new Constitution that is all inclusive of the main primary ethnicities in our country and in our economy to be represented, so that everybody can have this agreement, this contract with America, of what America expects from us and what we expect from America. And we have to abide by this contract and hold each other accountable based on this contract, which would be the new Constitution. Because that's what the Constitution is, right? We, the people, do so and so and so and so, and the government does so and so and so and so, right? That is a contract between the people and the government. And that contract is void. The contract is out of date, it's obsolete, and it needs to be updated. Every contract that people go into has an expiration date on it, and they always have to revise it, update it, and then go forward from there. So why then do we not feel the need to do that with something that is basically running our entire country? This is what we claim that we make our laws and all of our rules and things like that based off of. So why then do we not feel the need to keep it updated so that it can work for us in a more efficient way? This is the United States, man. We're held as one of the greatest countries in the world, but our actions are not lining up with that title that has been given to us, or that label that's been given to us. We're not living up to the reputation of what the United States is supposed to be. We've gotten lazy. And then, you know, some people, when they've gotten such a reputation, that they get lazy and they rely on their reputation instead of relying on what gave them their reputation. And that's when you see the downfall. So what we're going to do, man, is we're going to continue to have these conversations. We're going to continue to address these things and let our government know that we see what's going on. We know what's going on, and we are going to work towards getting the change in this country. And change is going to come through action. Change is going to come through face-to-face meetings with these people in their offices, not sending them a letter, not sending them an email or a text, but actually face-to-face interaction with these people so that they can give an account to our face. Because a lot of the times they do not want to do that. Man, I'm walking across the bridge right now, headed to the store. And I swear, man, I see a bunch of these YouTube trolls, man. I'm looking under the bridge, man. I can swear I see a bunch of y'all YouTube trolls down there on your phones right now, looking for something to troll somebody about. That's a little bit off topic. So let me get back on topic, man. Just thought I'd say that because every morning I walk past this bridge, man, I think about YouTube trolls and how trolls be up under the bridge plotting how to stop somebody from moving forward and progressing. And building bridges is the way that we're going to have to do this, especially now because somebody has to bridge the gap between the youth and the older people. And so that's why I do a lot of these shows, because the topic of my conversation, older people can gravitate towards it as much as the young people, because it's something that's going to benefit all of us. Nobody's left out in the conversations that I try to have. And if anybody feels left out, then they can let me know so I can include them. But every conversation I have, man, I want to be all inclusive unless I'm speaking against an opposition. And the opposition that I'm talking about right now, this militarized police force, these guys walking around with AR-15s, these guys walking around with all of the military gear on and stuff like that, it's very intimidating. It's already intimidating enough that we're being brutalized, but to see them come into our Black communities after already being brutalized by these people, and they have all of the backing of the military with them, that sends a clear message of what America is trying to do. And there's safeguards, supposed to have been safeguards in the Constitution that saved us from tyrannical governments. And man, what we're dealing with right now sounds a lot like tyranny to me. You know, and that was one of the reasons for the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, so that we would be able to defend ourselves from a tyrannical government who would try to make this a dictatorship and threaten our democracy. So then, if we're given that right, this is why you see people fighting for the right to have their AR-15s and fighting for their right to have assault rifles, because we see these militarized police forces with all of this unnecessary heavy equipment, and it's overkill. We seen the other day where they just shot this young man over 60 times. They claim that he shot once out of his vehicle, and then they shot him in his back over 60 times. Overkill. This is what they're doing on a regular basis. Why would they do that? Because they are sending a message. It's not a mistake. It's not by accident. It is by design. This is a pattern of behavior that we see every day. And I don't understand why people try to continue to make these things isolated events when they are absolutely not isolated. And so we as a people, we're going to have to stand up and speak out against this. Good morning, sir. We're going to have to stand up and speak out against these things, because if we don't, we're going to find ourselves in a military state. And what is a military state? This is a state or a area that is controlled and governed by military force and strength. These are the types of things that you see in Africa when they form their militias to mine diamonds, and they will get a village and have these villages under their control, or they will take the children from these villages and force them to be in their armed forces to fight for money from constituents who have an interest in the diamonds and the other precious minerals that Africa has to offer. And they have these militarized police forces, so to speak, or militias, and they go around and they keep these people in terror for monetary gain. Now, I can't speak on the monetary gain of what having a militarized police force will do, but I can speak on how it's going to control others. I can't speak on the hey, what's going on? Bless you this morning, my brother. Hey, your show yesterday, man, was off the chain, man. It was off the chain, bro. I appreciate you, man. And my wife trying to call me, but she can't end this conversation. So Yeah, let me get back to what I was saying real quick. But yeah, this militarized police force, man, there's so many components that plays into this thing we're not seeing. And so when we do recognize these things, I feel like it's up to us to call these things out, point these things out. And so I was sitting down, I was talking with some fellas yesterday about military stuff, and this topic came up. That's how I came to this conclusion. And yeah, I've seen there was a lot of Reserve and National Guard guys who went down range with us, all the same weaponry, all the same training, and when they came back, they went right back to the police force. Now, the same way that they was killing people in Iraq, the same way that there was no accountability for a lot of the things that we did over there, it's the same thing here. It's the exact same thing here. There's no accountability for the savagery that they're committing to our people here. And these are the same guys who went down range with me morning and fought beside me and swore they was my brother in arms. But then when it came time for, you know, when it came time for them to come back here and exercise proper civility, they were still acting like they did when they was overseas. That reckless abandonment. And I'm gonna tell you a few things about when we was down range. You know, everybody said that the enlisted guys were out of control and the enlisted guys were doing all of these savagery things. But in actuality, a lot of the officers was giving the incentive for their enlisted guys to do the things that they were doing. There were incentives like if you take somebody out in hand-to-hand combat, then there was going to be some extra days of R&R for you. There's going to be an extra little something for you as a reward for you doing something in that fashion. If you killed somebody with a knife, then there was an incentive given. And so a lot of guys over there had this mindset of they wanted to basically become a star. And they basically wanted to get recognized for their actions, and a lot of those things were atrocities. Hey, how you doing? So, that savage mindset did not get left over there in Iraq. That savage mindset came right back to the United States. Yes, ma'am. And those police on that, all right. And those policemen who were deployed with us, they came right back to their jobs in the United States, and they employed all of those military tactics that they used overseas. And those police forces are now an example of that. All right, thank you. So this is an eyewitness account. This is not nothing that I heard. This is not a rumor. This is something that I saw with my very own eyes. This is, like I said, these guys fought beside me downrange. Talked to these guys for over a whole entire year. And so I know I'm coming from a first-hand witness account. And so now that I'm home and I've been home for a while, and I'm seeing how police forces are slowly getting all of our gear, slowly being outfitted with all of our heavy machinery and things like that is unnecessary to try to govern small communities. I'm like, yeah, there they go, militarizing the police force. And I put out different videos and different stuff talking about this, but people was like, oh no, they're not militarizing the police force. That goes against the Constitution, as if this country would not think to go against the Constitution. Man, it's easier to convince somebody of a lie than it is to convince them that they've been lied to. It's something that I say every day, all day, and that will never change because I always see it to be the truth. But I don't know how long we should spend on trying to convince people of the truth before we leave them behind to go handle business. I'm not going to continue telling you that they shooting at us when it's evident that the bullets are flying over our head. If you don't duck and you get hit, that's on you because you have been warned. The message have been put out. And if you choose not to act on it, then anything that comes from it, then you're going to have to be willing to accept it because inaction is consent. And so I just leave it at that, man. This is your boy D-Mac, man. I got to go get my stuff together and get ready to head back to Texas. I've enjoyed my time down here with family. Love everybody, man. It's been a great experience to get out and get away. And yeah, I hope y'all had a great weekend. For those of you who observed the holiday, I hope you had a good 4th of July. And everybody else have a blessed morning, man. This is D-Mac. And I hope y'all just ponder on this for a little bit, man, because it is something that we really have to think about because these are the unseen dangers that come against us every day. And if we're not paying attention, at some point, it's going to be a reckoning in our life. It may not touch us directly, but what about our sons out there in those streets who may be going from home to work and get caught up in one of these situations with this hyped up militarized police force? The reality of our sons losing their lives over nothing is far greater than that of the other people. And when I say other people, I'm talking about Caucasian people. Their children don't have to worry about that so much. Now they say, yeah, police, they kill white people too. They do. They do. I'm not going to deny that. But are they killed at an alarming rate such as black men are? I see that this young man who just committed all of these atrocities in Chicago, shooting at the parade. Oh, they went in and they apprehended him without a hiccup, without one problem. They can always seem to capture these mass murderers without any incident. But a young black child, they seem to fear for their life. How is it that you fear for your life from seeing a child like Tamir Rice with a gun that you know is a cap gun? He was in the park by himself. Nobody else was there. There was no danger around. Common sense tells you that this is a child, but you claimed that you were in fear for your life to the point to where you had to shoot that child. But you mean to tell the morning, but you mean to tell me that an armed grown man who has already murdered a bunch of people, you have the self-control to you have control to not kill him and to arrest him with absolutely no problem. These are the disparities and the inconsistencies that we need to pay attention to. And let me get off here before I start a whole different conversation. But the militarized police force is not to show a message to the white people. It is to show a message to the black people. This is showing you that if we have to call martial law in these neighborhoods because of gang violence, we have every piece of equipment available to do so. And that's what they're gearing up for. They've already put U.S. gangs on the terrorist list, and so that gives them the right to execute martial law. And they have everything necessary, all of the war gear to openly declare war on the United States citizens. It's all here, man, if we just read and research. It's all here in front of our face. But we don't take the time to find out about nothing anymore. If it's not readily spoon-fed to us, then most of us not going to try to find out. And that's what they banking on. But you got people like me. You got people like Reverend Tony. You got people like your crazy cousin. You got a bunch of cats out here who are willing to stop and do the research. And not only that, but inform the people of what's going on so that they can make an informed decision about what's going on. yeah, we those mouthpieces out here. And I hope that God continue to use us in a positive way and keep us covered so that we'll be able to continue with this message that the people need. But this is your boy D Mac, man. My wife is calling me, trying to get me ready to leave. So let me get off here. Y'all have a blessed day, man. Y'all know what I say. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.